After watching the film on Sunday, we recognized a number of guys. Offensively, honorable mention, we went with Dan Skipper, Brandon Allen, and Cody Hollister all felt that they had a good game, but our MVP on offense going away was Keon Hatcher. Just can't say enough of what he did during the course of the game, his preparation leading up to it, to play the first 3 games the way he did, selflessly, not worry about any passing statistics or anything like that. I thought was awesome to get him a 100-yard receiving game and did a lot of really, really good things. Defensively, honorable mention went to Martrell Spate. Jared Collins had a really nice game as well, but the MVP went to Trey Flowers. Trey had an impact on that game very early on and throughout the whole course of it. Special teams, honorable mention, Adam McFain did a great job popping in, and I believe he kicked off 9 times. 3 were touchbacks, and 3 were really putting a height and a distance that were very, very in a hang time were difficult to do anything with. But our 2 MVPs, 2 different roles. Jeremy Sprinkle was absolutely awesome in every phase of the kicking game that he's involved in, and had the big hit on the punt, obviously, but did a nice job of kickoff coverage and several other phases. And then Corliss Marshall to start the game off. The way he did was pretty special, so I gave it to those 2 guys. Defensive scout MVP Mitch Lavin returned a full go. You saw him on a kickoff coverage as well. He'll be involved from the line of scrimmage again this week. Really excited to get him back in the game plan on the defense side of the ball for the first time. Offensive scout went to Connor McPherson and JoJo Robinson. Both those guys did a great job all week down there on scout team, getting done what we needed to get done. And then special team scout team went to Josh Harris again. We broke open a new category. We got some academic reports back last week, so we wanted to recognize some guys academically. Our offensive academic MVP was Brian Wallace, defensive academic MVP Josh Williams, special teams academic MVP Volsky, and our freshman went to Jake Hall. So recognized all those guys. I really thought, and I expressed to the team, some guys that were stepping into new roles for the first time. Cody Hollister, for instance, for Demetrius Wilson, Adam McFain at the kicking position. On defense, Josh Williams, although he didn't start, played almost really the entire game. As early as Brooks went out, I thought those 3 guys, and another great example of, your preparation and your execution and your anticipation. You never really know when it's going to happen when you're a 2, and those guys really did a nice job, and we were rewarded for it as a team on Saturday with a win. So there's so many good examples of guys leading at their respective positions, also offense, defense. It's just really fun to watch that kind of come full circle. So it's going to be big this week, obviously a tremendous challenge, and going to AT&T Stadium and playing in A&M, a team that's obviously a top 10 team for a reason. They're very, very talented. Really haven't left off much from where they were a year ago. Lost some key players, but have been able to sustain their success. And it's a trophy game for us to be able to have that in the mix. I think is fun. I love trophy games and being involved with that, to play in the environment we're going to go play in a pro stadium, and all of our guys are very, very aware of the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones and the history that he has here. So a chance to honor that, and this is our fifth guaranteed opportunity. I talk all the time to our guys about taking advantage of opportunities when they come, whether it's the guys I talked about that took advantage of a playing opportunity, whether it's us as a team taking advantage of an opportunity that we had last Saturday. This is our 5th one. We're guaranteed 12 every year. And what we do with those opportunities can get us more. But for us to stay focused, it's a 1-0 mentality, and a great chance this weekend. Well, first off, we never talked about any of those streaks. We may have post-fact, may have been aware of them, but they weren't anything on our agenda. It's kind of like, we have a streak, correct? We've won 4 games in this stadium against A&M, 3 times. 4 games total, but 3 against A&M, and that's a streak, but probably not on their topic, and it's not on ours as well. But, we've made progress. We've done certain things better, I think. Without a doubt, our guys have a lot more confidence than they maybe had a year ago. But until you've done it on a big stage and against a quality opponent like we're going to see Saturday, it's really just talk. I think that's fair, Nate. I think also, I've never really gone in the junior college market. I think maybe I signed possibly 2 players in my career as a head coach. And then I really made the decision that we weren't going to really go after a junior college player unless they were, for the most part, a full academic qualifier out of high school. Maybe they found a JUCO by way of transfer, or maybe they, were an under-recruited player, as in the place with Cody Hollister. He was a kid just didn't have many of the opportunities and took advantage of it. Sebastian Tretola was a full qualifier and came in and had to get rerouted through a stop in Iowa Western, but as you can see, a very good player for us. So I think it is a little bit of both, but also we were on those guys for a longer period of time, so we knew what we expected them, and we were trying to fill a specific void. I think when you're recruiting junior college players, you really have to take into at least in my account, what you're bringing them into. It's not just what they're bringing to you; it's what you're bringing them into to be a part of. And if they don't fit what we believe in academically, athletically, and socially, we're not going to have a good fit.
How much different has it been for a guy like Spade to have that 1 year?
My only regret with Martrell is that we couldn't redshirt him. I think last year we needed to play him, and the way he's grown this year has been absolutely awesome. Not just on the football field. A lot of ways, all the things we talk about away from here, he really had a time or a problem early on when he first got here about being consistent with his being on time, and that has been eradicated. I can't remember the last time anything ever showed up like that. I remember last year during a bye week having a conversation with him and his support group about just being on time, being punctual. And if we had that kid for another year in our program, the sky would be the limit. He's playing really good football for us, but it's nowhere close to what I think he can be down the future. On Cody? I was intrigued by Cody. Saw him on film. We were actually going after a tight end at that school, and I've known the head coach there for a while. I knew a couple coaches there, and they said, hey, we got a couple other guys, as all junior college coaches will, and they'll say, hey, take this look. So I actually flew out there and watched them practice, and I saw Cody at practice. He's got a twin brother. I didn't know which one I was looking at first, but I figured it out, and he just was getting after people, pushing people around, made every catch. It was a little chilly, actually. We were in Arizona, but it was a little crisp, and he made, and they were playing, on a dirt lot, and it was as good as junior college environment as I've seen. But I just knew if he came and saw what we had, he might just flourish, and that's exactly what's happened. You forget, he's only a sophomore. He's got 2 years after this year, so. He takes coaching very, very well. He's very aggressive. He catches the ball naturally very, very well. He made a nice adjustment on that third and extra long that, you really have to just hope that he adjusts and corrects when he's out there on the field, and it's exactly what he did. So I think some good relationship there with him and BA is critical.
You talk about Kevin Sumlin and how well you know him, number one. Number two, what makes him different? What makes him so good?
Yeah, I've known Kevin for a long time. Jim and Joel probably know him a lot better than I do. Those guys both have worked with Kevin. I've known Kevin from afar. We've been in the league together in the Big Ten for a long time. And then when he was at Oklahoma, when he got a job at Houston, it was right about, I can't say it was the same year, but the same time I got my job at Wisconsin, our first ever head coaching jobs. We kind of got together at coaching clinics and shared stories. And then he just obviously is a very gifted football coach. He's always had success. Obviously, an offensive coach that has been able to continue that as a head coach. I think just recruiting against him for a long time. He's got great rapport with his players. A fun guy to be around, and what's fun for me now is in this stage of my career, I'm able to share a lot of stories with the coaches that are now I'm competing with that I knew as assistant coaches, where in the past I never really had that opportunity. So it's a fun, competitive environment for us.
Do you think the success of his quarterbacks has anything to do with what he's talked
Absolutely.
about?
I think especially a coach like him that takes a lot of pride in an offense is driven by what the quarterback does. Whether he recruited him or didn't recruit him, while they were playing for him, they had a lot of success, and as is the case right now, that's continuing again once again. Well, yeah, I think they're averaging a scoring at under 7, a score every 7 plays, under 7 plays actually. which is an incredible stat. I think it all starts, like we just said, with the quarterback. He's extremely efficient. I think, they didn't try to carbon copy, obviously, what Johnny did. He's his own guy. He's a very confident thrower. Makes a lot of really tight windows, but also can read and understand where to go with the ball when it's not there. Doesn't try to force anything. I think offensively they lost, obviously, a very good receiver, a couple good receivers, but they've been able to recruit a certain level of expectation there, and their run game is efficient as well. They've been very, very good in what they're asking their kids to do, and they execute it pretty clean.
You spoke yesterday or Saturday about being a humbler, and you said it a couple of weeks now. Is there a flip side to that where making sure these guys have enough confidence?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Tom. I think Saturday after the game, I gave credit where credit was due, but when you take a look at the film, there are some things we definitely needed to correct and move forward. I truly do appreciate and hope that someday beating Northern Illinois isn't a really big deal. It was a big deal because we hadn't won at home, but it's a team that we should expect to have success on. And when you get to a point as a coach that you feel like that can happen, you can really start to treat your players a little bit differently. And I reminded them yesterday, just a little subtle hint, that leadership by example. I had two freshmen come in, and we have meals. The NCAA lets us provide meals now, right? So we had some meals, I think, from, it was a sub, McAllister's or something, and I recognized the box that the kids are eating with. Well, all of a sudden I see a Popeyes box. I see a little white carton box. It looked like it was some type of Chinese food. And I'm like, hey, this isn't Smorgasbord Central here. If you want to eat our meals, that's fine, but I don't need to see things laying all over the counter. Nothing against Popeyes, nothing against Chinese food, but it wasn't on the menu. And we want our guys to eat the things that we provide them because of a health benefit, but also because it's being provided, and they should respect that. And our upperclassmen have to be responsible for a simple thing like that. But I tell you what, I knew we were going to have success on Friday. We went to the hotel, and our guys all looked alike. They were all clean. They were dressed. Everybody was on time. Everybody's wearing the right shirt, And I know I don't get overly nitpicky about that, but I do, and I think it does matter. Well, I think it's underrated for Brandon. Obviously, certain quarterbacks make their mark as an athletic quarterback, and when he scrambled for that first one a week ago at Texas Tech, I made the reference, who would have known we had an athletic quarterback, and he knew where I was coming from. Kind of like last Thursday night at my radio show when somebody asked him about being a quarterback at Arkansas. He said he didn't come here to hand the ball off every play. So touche. I think he and I have a good enough relationship but one of the things I really did try to emphasize last year as the season went on, and especially out of the out-of-season, is, and Jim did a great job of coaching this. They do drills, to incorporate this. But as a defensive coordinator, if you have a guy back there is never going to leave the pocket, you have a whole different game plan for what you can do to attack him. And that's basically what was happening a little bit last year. It was mainly due to injury, that we couldn't, put him in that spot. But on the flip side of it, when we were up by, I believe, 3 scores in the third quarter, and we called a pass play down there near the red zone, and he took off scrambling and got hammered at the 5, I said, hey, I'm going to let you come in, and I'm going to let you stay in for one more series. But if you scramble again and take a hit, you're done, And I think he's to the point now where he knows he can manage that game. And I didn't mind him staying in there and kind of, I want to get a couple more throws. I didn't want to put Austin in quite yet. I still want to do some things efficiently, but on the same account, I didn't want to put himself at risk. That's why you see him slide now a little bit better. We know what the forward roll did for him a year ago, so we're sticking with the slide. That I would say that's probably it's a run that could easily happen off that look. It depends on what the defense gives you. I saw right away when the bootleg started to happen that that was a Rose, for those of you that have memory last week. That was an option where if that defender was either going to come and force him to throw it, or he was going to stay in coverage, and obviously BA just ran it in.
So you feel okay about letting him run? He'll use good judgment.
I do. We got some quarterback run game now. Obviously, we've been able to do some certain things with the read zone. I think the quarterback draw is something that, as we get further and further down the line here, as we get more and more spread, is something. But it's not like we're going to run him 20 times a game or anything like that. I think he has to take advantage of the opportunities that come his way.
Jerry Jones spoke so passionately about this game
Mm-hmm.
in Arlington. Is there an extra sense of excitement from you guys when you tell one being in Arlington and two being the CBS game of the week?
Well, I don't think, no disrespect to CBS or anybody affiliated with CBS, I don't think our guys know what game they're on. They just know they're on TV. And that's today's kids, though, man. They just flip through until they find what they want. But I think the fact to play in Jerry Jones in Dallas Cowboy Stadium, we've had certain former players come through here and talk a lot about, when Jim Lindsay came up and talked last spring, he talked about, being a Razorback and what that means, and that you could, I don't know if this is true or not, but you could, pull into Dallas Cowboy Stadium and tell them that you're a Razorback and Jerry would come and see you. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but he said that, and I think it means a lot to our guys, and I mean that with a due respect. I think there's a certain fondness among Razorbacks and among Hogs that once a Hog, always a Hog, and that carries a lot of weight, and we're excited to go there.
I know the scoring's up in the SEC nationally. It's been going on for several years. How have you had to maybe adjust your mindset or your coaching philosophy to keep up with the higher things?
Well, I think as a coach you have to evolve. I distinctly remember when I was a young coordinator, I was a co-coordinator at Kansas State, and we were playing Nebraska. And Nebraska was at that time, running for 300 yards a game, and we had a defensive goal sheet. One of our 10 goals that we had was to hold the opponent we were playing under 100 yards. Well, that modified to we were going to hold them to someone that wasn't going to be a 100-yard rusher, and then now at certain times if you're playing a team that they're going to give it to a guy 35 times, that's hard to do, So I think the evolution of the way you got to think defensively depends on who you're playing, what type of offense you're playing, the type of game you expect to play. To be quite honest, I used to be a 17-point guy on defense. Really felt if you held them to 17 points or less, you had a very good chance of winning the game. But that's probably something of the ages. But that's what my defense coordinator Rob Smith does. Yeah, those are everybody gets bored. You guys get mad. That's so boring. But to me, it's awesome. The only thing that was great about Saturday was the fireworks. I don't like a lot of scoring, but it makes everybody happy, so that's probably good. And I like the way our guys are playing.
The defense seems like it has the confidence, swagger that it hasn't had maybe sometime around here. How do you make sure you maintain that going into a team that might be one of the best offensive teams in the country?
Well, I think first and foremost, they've built that confidence because of what they've done, and you don't want to take that away from them. But I do think that you, kind of what was referenced earlier, you have to constantly remind them, what have you done? Now, I will say this, it's not Texas Tech's offense, but there's some similarities in both that and Northern Illinois that are going to help us carry forward. I think because of the type of offenses we're seeing now in reference to what we just made a comment on. I mean, these guys aren't that unusual compared to what we see. Now, their execution and their detail and their personnel is better, but the rapidness that we see it, the extent of what calls we're going to make, it's just kind of how do you line up and make sure you're ready to play when the ball is snapped? And I think that was really good. And I think our guys we're getting our hands on a lot of balls. We're making a lot of pass breakups. We're making a lot of nice collisions. We're making a lot of nice negative yard plays with our both our defensive line and secondary and linebackers. So those are all positive things.
Your third down conversion rate and turnover margin are kind of coming around in your favor. How important is that in what you're wanting?
I would say first and foremost, the third down thing is big. I mean, we practice and practice and practice third down success. It's one of our edges. Our fourth edge is to win the critical areas, and third and fourth down conversions are huge on both sides of the ball. What was the other one you mentioned? Turnovers. Those things kind of come in cycles, but I will say this: as many balls as we're touching, as we're batting down, as we're taking swipes at, this is the first time now that I've been here, I think, that we had 0 turnovers. I could be mistaken, but we've been constantly harping. When we went to New England last year, Coach Belichick made a reference to his team when I heard him talk to his team about he gave a stat since he had been there over the course of time that was an unbelievable statistic, that if they had 0 turnovers, how many games they won. I want to say it was like 46-3 or something like that. So I really became ingrained with it. I never really thought of just the 0. I've always talked about limiting. Well, a week ago in the NFL, of the 15 teams that won games, 12 of those 15 had 0 turnovers. And I mean, you talk about football at the highest level, and you see the success of what that means. That's a pretty galvanizing statement for ball security. And to be quite honest, if we see a guy with ball security, I don't have the liberty to pull anybody. I mean, I guess I could have the liberty, but I don't. But my coaches and our players know, I see you with loose ball security, you will be out of the game, and you'll be standing next to me. So that's a pretty important fact. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have given him a medical update. First, Demetrius Wilson will be back with us. He actually is cleared for today's practice. No issues there. Guys that were tweaked a little bit during the course of the game. First was Brooks Ellis. I was going back and forth. I kind of, he experienced certain things, but we didn't think it was very severe. And so when I finally got home Friday or Saturday night, like 11:30 or midnight, I shot him a text. He shot right back. We kind of went back and forth for a little bit, joking around. So he goes, "Coach, I'm feeling fine." And so if he passes everything, he had to go through some series of tests this morning. I'll probably throw him in some green just to keep him out of contact until Thursday, but he should be good to go. Rohan was getting verbally abused last night for staying down on the ground because too many of those guys try to get up. I'm like, just stay down. Let's make sure you're all right. But I rolled him over, and I didn't roll him over. But when I got out there for the, I always go out there when my players are injured. I want to know how they are and the look in their eye. And sometimes I can bring a little levity to the situation. He was rolling over and he's keeping that shoulder tight. And I said, that was kind of a big boy. He's like, yeah, Coach. Started laughing. And kind of just made everybody, I think, feel okay. And I'm never going to do that if I know there's something critical going on. But Rose has been playing extremely well, and he shouldn't miss a beat. And Randy Ramsey is full goal as well. He kind of tweaked the ankle a little bit. Shouldn't have any issue there. Davion will play. Last week he practiced on Tuesday, practiced a little bit on Wednesday. Didn't mean to cut you out, Nate. That's what. On Thursday he just was really gimpy and sore, and I said, hey, let's take this out of here. Let's not take him into this preparation and get a lot of recovery time. But he's gotten better over the last 10 days because we've moved him more, and I think he's very excited to practice tomorrow. And we're getting to that point where if he doesn't keep moving forward, then I think we got to think about the surgery. But the surgery is probably it's probably a 2 month. It's about a 6 to 8 week recovery, and that would obviously wipe out his. And he's already had a red shirt, so it kind of is one of those things that you don't want to cross the bridge unless you have to. No, not at all. I mean, I've known Kevin for a long time. He's extremely confident. He's got a very good group of coaches around him. And, he's replaced those coaches, too. If you think about, obviously we faced at Texas Tech one of his former coordinators now as a head coach. And Mark Schneider, his defense coordinator, has been with him. We've known each other for a long time. We always kind of run in the same circle. I mean, they just expect success, and they recruit very, very well. I think in the state of Texas, the reason we're excited to get in there is really the only other SEC option, obviously, in the state of Texas is A&M. And us proximity-wise is another good choice. Obviously, LSU's in there hard. But just the state of Texas brings so many great players. And they've been able to hold their own. And we lost a kid to them last year from the East Coast, So, I mean, it shows the effect of where they can recruit nationally and really get as good a player as they want. And it doesn't surprise me at all.
It's a 1 game, but it's a big 3-game stretch coming up. How nice is it just to have the feeling, the opportunity to really show how far?
Zach hit me up about possible questions, and I didn't realize. I mean, I realized I know the schedule that I can name it off. I've known it for a long time. But the important thing I say is there's a little bye week in there that is important because I do think I'm all in favor of those bye weeks because it lets your players take a moment of digest what's happened. And they are full-time college students. I know we got several things academically that we've put off to the bye week that we said, hey, this kid needs to go see this play. Can he do this during the bye week? I'm going to purposely try to get him out of here by 5:30 every day during the bye week because we usually are here until about 6:30, 6:45. We're going to go out and recruit heavily on that Monday and Friday. So whatever happens at A&M, we got a bye week before we got Alabama, and then we got obviously a tremendous challenge after that again. So I'm excited because I think our kids know I talk all the time about you earn everything, and you are getting a little bit of kudos. I'm very well aware that we're the only team in the SEC West that's not ranked. I get that, and deservedly so. We haven't done anything to deserve that, but you're beginning to establish some value to your name that has nothing to do with dollars. It has to do with what people are saying and what people talk about you, and we will earn what we get this Saturday by what we do this week. Well, I think to put it, Robbie, and I think when I first got here, I'm like, okay, we're close to Texas. Let's go recruit Texas. Well, it's not as easy as that. You got to have ties. You got to have connections. You got to have research. The one thing I love about really in the South that not that it's not in the North, I should say it. I think the involvement at the high school level of the high school coaches with their student athletes is ratcheted up probably a couple degrees, just because they're going to hold you accountable now, not just when you got what you say during the recruiting process, how you taking care of their kid once they're here. And I knew a lot of coaches in the Dallas area. I hadn't really been into the Houston, the East Texas, and all that jazz. And I think with the hiring of Clay Jennings gives me a lot of street credit where we need to do. Michael's got a great reputation. Joel's got a great reputation. Coach Chaney, in his own regards, has been there a little bit. And what we've done now has been able to see some of these Texas players come over and have success. So we need to get stronger. Like I said before, I've got 4 coaches committed full time into their efforts down there, and during the bye week, I'm going to be in there quite a bit. So it's something that we'll continue to stress. But I think my awareness and maybe my efficiency as a staff and as a program is a lot more efficient now than it was. They're better, Nate. I think they're a more disciplined group. They're still multiple front. I think they play a little over, a little under. Mark Schneider is a tremendous X's and a really good football coach. Him and David Gibbs and myself. David's a D coordinator now at Houston. We a group that likes to kind of hang together. And Mark, I always thought probably technician-wise was one of the better coaches I'd ever heard clinic and talk, and now it's another year with him in that program doing what he likes to do, and you can definitely see the rewards of it. I think it's safe to say it might blow someone's minds that aren't involved in it, but for those that see it on a daily basis, it's not really that amazing. And what's been fun for me is you really grow fond of that stuff. I mean, it's kind of to me, it's very disturbing because we're not ranked, but I don't like being that one that's not. And I'm not a big rank guy, but I kind of want our place in that history or that nostalgia. I coached at Kansas State, so I appreciated how difficult an environment. I shot, some of you may faint, I shot Gus a congrats text and just said, hey, I know how tough that place is. Congrats. And I think that, you look at the Mississippi State LSU, I mean, that probably shocked a lot of people, but LSU's a very good team, but Mississippi State's a very good football team, So I think there's a respect in the league that you really truly don't understand until you're involved in it. And I truly understand it a lot more this year than I did last year.
You tweeted about the helmet stickers. What are the players think?
I had held off on that. I had a couple helmet sticker ideas, and one got kiboshed by a higher power, and the other one was this one was let go. So when I approached this with Jeff, I just thought the frontal hog was something cool that I knew the younger generation might like. I knew our kids really liked it, so came up with the idea to put the white on the red and the red on the white, and threw it at our guys when we started fall camp, and there was only one on there, and it's been really, really positive. It was the first ones to put on there were things you earned academically, So if you're if you had been SEC academic honor roll, or if you'd had a 3.0 GPA during the summer, or if you had a significant enough jump in your GPA, you got it. So that was the first way to earn it, and then really once we started play, you get it for a variety of different things. If you start on 2 or more special teams, you get it. To me, you bring value to our team. If you start offensively or defensively, I'll give you one. And then the standard random stuff, touchdowns, pass breakups, sacks, fumbles. But, things that I really believe in, for instance, the KOR, I gave one to all 11 guys on that unit. Corliss did it, but it really wouldn't have happened without those 10 other guys. And then on defense, even though Trey got the fumble and Darius did his dive in the end zone, that would have never happened if the 9 other guys behind them didn't play great defense. And I think it builds a little bit of, okay, not just Darius got it, not just Trey, we all got it because they actually adjusted to an empty formation as good as we've ever done since I've been here. So that's fun. And then you'll give them for third down catches or third down stops. So if you're the guy that makes the tackle on third down, I'll give you that. So there's those guys, they know who's got them and who hasn't or who's getting them. And, for every 100-yard rusher, it's not just a 100-yard rusher. I give it to every lineman and tight end that blocked, for more than 75% of those yards. So it's been fun to see it, and we give those on Sundays, and we only give them out if we win. But some of those guys are growing in numbers, and I think it's a very positive thing.
Last one. The one that you didn't use.
Trey, what?
The helmet sticker that you didn't go with.
Oh, you know what? I probably could say this. We'll find out. But I think it's cool. I really and I've been a head coach and I've been at other places. What's really unique here is when you come here from another state, I think you have a lot of pride in considering yourself a hog. You know what I mean? And I thought that was very unique when I got here, and there's a tremendous amount of pride in that. So I had mocked up some guys. Maybe it was a state of Texas. It was an outline of a state of Texas, but it had a hog in the middle of it, and just put one on every guy from Texas with a hog. And in the state of Florida with a hog in it, the state of Louisiana with a hog in it, the state of Minnesota with a hog in it, states of Hawaii with a hog in it. AD didn't like it. That's right. When he got the chair title, he started feeling really good about everything. So, and I get it. I think that there was a concern that people from Arkansas wouldn't want to see a. So let me know your opinion. I guess we always got next year. It was just one on the back of the helmet, and like we always talk in recruiting, Tex Hogs, Florida Hogs, Louisiana Hogs. And that's actually Go Hogs in Louisiana with GEAU. Right how they spell it was kind of creative. I was a marketing major. I'm trying to always think of things. We done? Lou Pig, thank you.